What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And with interest rates rising, and this says inflation may have topped with the new inflation numbers here that have actually come down a little bit. The president actually touting that inflation was 0% here in July. That means that inflation did actually not go up and did not go, well, did not go down per se. We did go from 9.1% to 8.6% here for year over year over the 12-month rating. The president is touting what he's calling a 0% inflation for the month of July, which is true. The rating for the month of July is actually came out to a 0.0. It's definitely confusing because there's multiple different numbers of inflation. The food inflation number is out of this world. You can see here food costs hit highest inflation level in 40 years. Despite inflation slowing down a little bit in July, food prices are rising to levels not seen in more than 40 years. Yeah, we're seeing things like egg prices have jumped in the US 47% as food inflation is hit the highest we have not seen since 1979. That's before I was born. I was born in 1981. So this goes to show you how long ago these prices, the last time we've seen inflation at food prices this long ago. Yeah, as you can see, although the CPI number, the Consumer Price Index, came in slightly lower than expected at 8.5% in July, inflation is continuing to hit grocery shopping. The food at home category soared to 13.1% year over year. So we're seeing gas prices come down in some cases significantly. I'll show you that here in a second. But food prices rise dramatically. So you can see the disparity here in some categories here. I think gas prices are down, I think 57, 58 days in a row now. But food prices still going up. And a lot of this has to do with Ukraine actually not being able to get out grain. I think they've gotten like one shipment out now. And even if we don't get any grain at all from Ukraine, it affects the prices of grain and wheat and all sorts of commodity prices. Okay, so just like the same thing with oil and gas, even if we don't buy any oil from Russia at all, it still can affect the price of oil on a global scale. So even if we don't buy a single thing from Russia or from Ukraine, we're a global economy now. So these prices will skyrocket even at the threat of something like this. If we go back here, remember when Russia was lining up the 100,000 plus troops on the border of Ukraine, we've seen the price of oil and the price of gas start to skyrocket literally day by day just on the threat of war. And what happened? A lot of that speculative trading by oil traders was kind of rightfully so. Not that it was a good thing for us or Americans or anybody around the world, but look at the shortages and the chaos in the oil and gas markets that we've seen because of the war in Russia. I mean, the U.S. stopped buying Russian oil. Russia has cut off gas to most of Europe. Europe says they're not going to buy gas from Russia and from Putin, and they want to wean off buying gas from them completely. So there is a lot of disparity and a lot of chaos between all of this. So, and you take Russia, which is the number two or number three, depending on the time of year, producer of gas and oil in the world, and now a large portion of the world doesn't want to buy oil and gas from them. That creates a significant shortage of gas for the entire world. This is one reason why the US and the rest of the world needs to kind of wean off of gas like that, because gas is only going to continue to get higher and higher priced. So whether you're a green energy fan or not, the price of oil and the price of gas is going to continue to go up. Where you look at things like solar panels, the prices actually come down, 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 down. The price of like wind energy has come down, down, down. As technology has gotten better with stuff like that, it's gone down. But you can't power your car via wind. You can't power your car via sun. They actually are making some cars that can be powered partially via sun and stuff like that. But that technology is way off. We still need gas. We still need gas. But when it comes to like power for um, our energy grids and stuff like that, the government can power, the energy grids and stuff like that by adding more solar, adding more wind, adding more nuclear, and that can help us reduce our energy dependence on oil and gas a little bit, because we still need that for car. We have to be realistic about this. We can't just say, oh, no, no more gas and no more, natural gas, because that's not a realistic plan. We have to be realist about this. We have to still drill. We have to still do those kind of things. And in fact, the oil and gas industry is actually kind of okay with this Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 because of the things that are in it for them. They're not against it at all. So it's actually a pretty okay plan in their eyes, because even Joe Manchin says it kind of has good things in the industry for both gas and energy and green energy per se, which I am actually, because again, I'm not from either side. I think going forward we need to do both. Green energy like gas, or sorry, but not gas, but solar, wind, and even nuclear. Those are not really just for the green part of it, but just for the fact that you don't need to keep getting stuff out of the ground over and over and over, which is just way more expensive. Just think about the effort of doing it and how much that costs. If you build a nuclear power plant, you build it once and then you're done with it. You build a solar power plant or solar panel, you put it on your roof, for example. If you put solar panels on your roof, you don't have to do anything else for 20, 30, 40 years, right? Or however long they last, right? If you put gas in your tank, how long does that last you? It's extremely expensive. But nonetheless, we have tens of millions of cars that need gas every week. So you have to kind of go forward with both of those. And you look at somebody like Texas right now, and Texas needs to expand dramatically. Texas really needs to get on the ball. My father would say, get on the horse. And like Texas is really hurting. Let me know if you're from Texas right now. Texas is really kind of hurting right now, especially when they have heat waves. They're telling their residents to turn the air conditioner down because they're at their capacity with electric, and they're not connected to the grid for the rest of the country. I don't understand why they're not doing that here at this point still. They could be sharing the rest of the United States power. You guys are part of the United States, right? Um, in fact, look at this. Look at what I just seen here. So the the governor candidate, the Democratic candidate, who's running against the current governor, Greg Abbott. Look at this headline. Look at what just happened here. This guy has a legitimate shot to overtake the Republican Greg Abbott. Look at this headline here. Beta O'Rourke snaps at heckler over Uvalde shooting in Texas, saying, quote, "It may be funny to you, MFer. Don't worry, this is beeped out." Let me know your thoughts on this. Take a listen.
19 kids and their 2 teachers shot to death with a weapon originally designed for use in combat, legally purchased by an 18-year-old who did not try to obtain one when he was 16 or 17, but followed the law that's on the books, ladies and gentlemen, that says that you can buy not one, you can buy 2 or more if you want to, AR-15s, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, and take that weapon that was originally designed for use on the battlefields in Vietnam to penetrate an enemy soldier's helmet at 500 feet and knock him down dead, up against kids at 5 feet. It may be funny to you, but it's not funny to me, okay?
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts there. This is as some people in Texas are, outraged over the Uvalde shooting. Investigation's still going on underway here, and we're going to have a lot of very hotly contested governor races here this year. We'll see. Do you think there's going to be any major upsets this year in your state? Yeah, it's going to be. We'll see. We'll see here. There's always tends to be at least a few major upsets here in governor races. So we'll see. So the Fed is going to continue to raise interest rates to help bring down inflation. And you can see here this headline from Reuters: Fed to raise interest rates to 4% next year. This is the Fed prime rate at 4%. Remember, we're already seeing home mortgage rates nearing 7%. And this would mean that home mortgage rates would be, let me think about this, 8, 9% next year. So this would mean that interest rates would continue to rise this year and next year as they continue to try to keep bringing down interest rates. Let me know your thoughts on this. This is a double-edged sword. We are seeing this start to work in our country. But first, here's where we are right now. The Fed will likely need to lift its policy rate, currently in the 2.25% to 2.5% range, to 3.25% to 3.5% this range, and to 3.75 to 4% by the end of the year. So they're looking at another 1 to 1.5% by the end of this year of interest rate hikes. That is a lot. So we're still looking at significantly more interest rate hikes this year. Wow. Now, this does cool off the economy significantly because we're definitely seeing it, for example, with home buyers. Before this, if you were a home buyer, you would have had to bid against potentially a dozen other buyers. Um, for example, I know we're, here in Ohio, a house would go for sale here, and Ohio is not really a super hot market. It's not like it's New York City, LA, Silicon Valley, or anything like that. It's it's Ohio, right? But a house would go for sale, and sometimes on the first day or the first, yeah, really the first day, sometimes it would go into a multiple offer type of deal, and you'd be bidding. I heard some stories. Of course, I've been here for years in my house, but I know that people would, just people that I know and people that I've talked to said that they bid over asking price and got significantly outbid by multiple bidders. So this is not normal. It's kind of weird. I don't know why we got into this here in the last in a pandemic. It's really a strange economy. You would think in a pandemic we wouldn't have seen something like this. This is really the first time we've ever seen over asking in this. I mean, there has been in some overheated uh, housing markets where you would bid over asking price, especially in like places that maybe like Los Angeles, New York City. That would have not been, that would have been normal, maybe. Okay. But for this to happen in rural America, in average everyday towns, all everywhere, this was unheard of. This was the first time this had ever happened, and for this to happen during a pandemic, right after about 40% of small businesses just went out of business, and we just had multiple stimulus checks to help us from going into a major recession. Now, don't get me wrong, these stimulus checks weren't something that like, I mean, we're talking like $600, $1,200. It wasn't something that like was enough to like make people go buy $300,000 houses, right? It was enough for people to like pay a couple bills and then like buy some food and stuff like that. Right? It's not like it was like, hey, let's go buy a $300,000 house because we got a stimulus check. Like Mitch McConnell thinking, right? So the what really happened was really kind of weird, and this helped really exacerbate the inflation going on. Okay, and this is part of the reason why we're seeing this 9% inflation. Okay, um, look at housing prices; they're just inflating to the moon. Okay, people are taking a $300,000 house and they're bidding 350 on it. Okay, that's almost a 20% increase because and that those are numbers you can't take back. Okay, so now actually, mortgage closings, people that are actually buying the house and closing on it, are at 22-year lows. So now people are having to pay higher interest rates on it, but those can be fixed. Okay, you can change that. Okay, so even though you're going to pay a couple higher percent interest rate and you're going to pay more money on the interest rate, in a few years you can refinance that when that comes back down. We all know, I know it's a tough pill to swallow right now, and again, I can't, I'm not the one that gets to set interest rates. I'm just here letting we're talking about what's going on here on a daily basis. If I could control things, I hate to say it, but I'd have to raise interest rates too, because this is a proven way to bring down inflation. Okay, I've kind of studied this. This has happened time over time again. Countries all around the world are doing it. If we don't do this, it's kind of like it's a temporary pain you have to go through to bring down inflation. If you don't do this, you will continue to see things like home buying stay up over asking price. Would you so think about, and this is just this one market, okay? Same thing with cars, okay? If you've gone to buy a car recently, used cars are selling at the price of brand new cars. So like a $20,000 used car is selling for $25,000, like the price of a brand new $25,000 car. So you're paying the price of a new car for a used car, and the new cars are selling for over MSRP, manufacturer's suggested retail pricing. Okay. So like even my mom and dad went to buy like a base Buick SUV, and each of them it was over $3,000 over the MSRP. Okay, and they were the last two on the lots. Really, they really were, because there was no other cars in the lot. Now a lot of this has to do with the supply chain issues as well, and in housing, a lot of this had to do with the price of lumber as well. But I mean, it really depends on if you were buying a new house or not. But there's a lot of problems that are needing to be fixed and bringing all this down, and a lot of this has to do with raising interest rates. So we had 0% interest rates for a long time on the Fed level. And the Fed level dictated mortgage rates and car rates, and everything was really cheap for a long time. And now everything has gone up by a few percent. Okay. So historically, we still have pretty kind of cheap interest rates. Now they've gone up about 3% or so as of right now. Home mortgage rates are in the 6 to 7% range, which is still historically kind of cheap. I mean, back in the 80s, we had mortgage rates in the teens, so it's still historically kind of cheap, but it's not nearly as cheap as we were like a year or two ago. So, but if you're buying a home now or in the next year or so, it'll cost you more money for the time being, but you can always refinance down the road. Okay. But you're going to get a lower price you pay because you won't have to outbid 20 other bidders. That price you can't change, because if you pay 350,000 for it as opposed to 300,000 for it, that's the price you pay for it. The interest rate, you can change the price you're paying to the bank. That can be changed at any given time just by refinancing. So all this will help bring down, and we are seeing the price of gas come down. We're not seeing the price of food prices come down yet, and a lot of that has to do with the price of grain and all this stuff that's still going on with the war in Russia and Ukraine. So, not all of it, but part of it. So, let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Make sure to click the subscribe button down below and the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live with new videos. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll keep you up to date here on a daily basis. You can click here to watch my new video about Social Security raises. We just got some major information here about that. And you can click here to see my video about new stimulus programs that are going to be coming out here for millions of Americans. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.